As I said, I'm not here to bring answers, but I'm here to raise questions. And in today's episode, I want to reflect upon the idea of emotional dependency. But I don't want to start off with this. I want to start reflecting on the idea of us going back to our childhoods and seeing ourselves as that little babies that we once were. And in this early stage of our lives, we needed to have a provider. We needed to have a source that could give us shelter, food, holding, affection, and love. We were extremely dependent on this person. This caregiver could be our mother, father. You can choose. And once we would rely on this figure, we would feel protected, supported. And then the only thing we needed to do in order to get what we wanted was to cry. We just had to cry. And then once we cried, our caregiver would know exactly what we wanted. And in case they didn't, they would try different hypotheses. They would test them. Maybe he's hungry, maybe he's sleepy, maybe he's in pain. And then we gradually grew up. And as we were growing up, we were getting separated from the source. We were naturally getting separated from it. We once thought, this is so symbiotic that I will want to have this forever. Or maybe we were like, oh well, I feel suffocated. But the thing is, if we are here today, we had to grow apart. Once we grew apart, we noticed that something started to be missing. There was a lack. And this lack would inform us that something was wrong. And just like our caregivers, we would try so hard to get what we thought we needed. We would throw a tantrum, we would cry, we would please, we would get violent, aggressive, we would get passive aggressive. No matter what the situation, we were trying to fill up this hole. We would try to suppress the lack with different alternatives. And then at some point in life we felt unprotected, insecure, unguarded, and we felt unsupported. And we felt pain and agony, and it felt like we were going to die if we wouldn't have our needs met at that time. Well, guess what? We didn't die. Here we are, right? We were little kids, and when we are kids, all that matters is the now, and everything in now is so intense that the idea of possible future becomes almost inexistent. Think about yourself nowadays when you are in the middle of a panic attack, or when you are in tremendous pain. You don't think about the past and you don't think about the future. This regression is something that we all do, because we literally go back to where we were, our source, right? And we start to think like a child. The pain so strong, the agony so strong. I'm gonna die right now. Your anxiety starts lying to you. You don't think that, you just have to control yourself and that it shall pass. No. All you can think of is that it's happening right now. And if you don't do anything about it, you're going to die. So you literally get into a fight or flight mode. So once you start to perceive that something is missing, you at first try to look at your parents and you try to ask them to provide what you need in order to fulfill this lack. Once you realize that your parents are not able to give you that, or you kind of perceive that they don't want to, or they are absent, or they're too busy, or they're too like this, or they're too like that, and then you run out of all your possibilities, there's a moment in this continuum of development that you start to seek that fulfillment outside. Outside means outside of your first community. So you try to feel that with friends, with potential partners, with work, right? With validation. We seek for validation because that's how we think that we're gonna get what we want. And then we start to ask ourselves, who can we rely on when everything is falling apart? Who can we count on when we need a shoulder to cry on? When we feel totally unsupported, unprotected, and unheld? Who can we count on? Can we count on our parents, friends, co-workers, ourselves? Who? God. Who? So this source of unprotection, it's one of our greatest dilemmas as human beings. We all have that. From the most emotionally strong ones or emotionally intelligent ones to the least emotional intelligent ones, we all have that. We all try to find ways to face helplessness. And helplessness is as hard as dealing with death. It's as hard with dealing with, okay, we're all gonna die. Let's live our lives. And then we find ways to deal with that. So we create rituals, right? And we create philosophies and mantras and whatever is possible so we can deal with the fact that one day we're not going to exist. It is the same feeling. But the problem with helplessness is you're alive. You're not dead, right? It's not in the future. It's happening now. I'm feeling helpless. Who can I count on? Who can I rely on? And that's when emotional dependency comes kicking in. Because we try to find ways to fulfill this lack. We try to find ways to be and to feel held. It's not easy, right? But we are human beings and we are very smart. So the problem is that once we realize that there are a lot of things that can sort of like help us deal with it, until we don't come to that conclusion, we're going to carry the burden of trying to find one thing, one source, one object. And that comes to the transitional object that I talked about in the first episode, right? It's the same thing. It's trying to find this thing that's going to be responsible to bring you the fulfillment you look for. And if you're a human being, you are trying to find that, right? So, when does emotional dependency become a mental health problem? When it turns into addiction. Addiction can be anything, right? Addiction is the fact that you have something controlling you. You have something outweighing your ability to make decisions for yourself. And once you have that, you have a problem. You have a mental health problem because you're not in control of who you are, you're not in control of your life, and you are being guided, literally, by something outside of you. So, for example, when we all fall in love, we are emotional dependent, right? We found the one. We found the person who complements us. We found the person who's going to be there for us. We found the person who can right now fulfill this lack. I feel complete. I feel whole when I'm with this person. But then time goes by. You have to separate. Because even though you're living together, you will still seek for some time alone, and that's going to happen naturally. And once that happens, you start to feel incomplete again. Emotional dependency transcends passion, because it literally means that you get attached to an idea, and that attachment can be translated into a desperate need of being and feeling loved. So I'm talking about to you who were a child who've always felt incomplete, misunderstood, nonconformist. You felt like you didn't fit in. You felt like you were not heard. You felt like your family was not for you. You felt like your family could not understand you, and so and so. These are the people I'm talking to right now. Well, I guess we are more than 50% of the global population, so welcome to the club. Not everyone who's been through this situation, who's been through this setting, will develop emotional dependency when they become adults. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you've been through this, there's a high chance, high possibility of you developing in a trauma, developing a linking trauma. And that linking trauma can be described by two two aspects or two characteristics, behavioral aspects. The first one is the anxious attachment. The second one is the avoidant attachment. So either ones, you build an attachment style. You build an emotional dependency. You build an idea of there is someone or something that will replenish myself, that will complete myself, that will fulfill my needs. Once again, the problem here is that it's an illusion. It's an illusion of the mind. The anxious attachment styles will try to control the relationship and try to control the person in order to feel loved. What really matters to this person is the fact that one day they will achieve or they will conquer this person's love. So they're not going to be, they don't believe that they will be loved by who they are, but they believe that they will be loved by what they can offer. So I'm not talking about acts of service in here. I'm talking about this person being at disposal of others, not because they are kind-hearted, because this comes with the cost, right? And this cost means they annihilate themselves in order to always try to please others. So they try to anticipate, they try to guess, they try to be that thing or that person to the other person, because they expect that this person will do the same for them. Let me be clearer about it. They're going to try to fulfill all the person's needs, right? Anticipate, guess. What do they want? What do they like? What do they dislike? How can I be better to them? Because they expect the same thing in exchange. They don't want the relationship to appear to be missing. They don't want the lack to say, hi, here I am. No. They work so hard to fulfill these gaps. And the problem here is that once they expect the other person to do the same, the person obviously will not do it, because usually an anxious attachment style gets in a relationship with someone who's avoidant. Once again, not a rule, but that's what happens more often. Once this person does not reciprocate, then they understand that, okay, I'm being challenged, so I'm going to work hard, I'm going to try harder, because I need to conquer this person's love. I need to be worthy of their love, And this comes with a lot of anxiety and a lot of aggressiveness and a lot of fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of not being worthy enough of this person's love. If you're an avoidant person, you fear abandonment. So you anticipate that at some point in the relationship, the other person will leave you once they see you for who you are. So what do? You don't commit. Well, I kind of want, you've played the nonchalant, right? So I kind of want to be in a relationship, but, I'm going to give all of me once I'm 100% sure that I have found the one. So right now I'm just going to, play it cool and let's see how it goes. So there's a fear of commitment. There's a fear of giving in to love. There's a fear of opening yourself up to the relationship because you don't want to be seen. Can you imagine when these two parties are together, how chaotic that can be? And this happens with a lot of relationships. I'm not gonna rate numbers because I don't want to sound ignorant, but it happens quite often. Despite of being, okay, let me rephrase that. Despite of identifying yourself as having one of these attachment styles, the most important thing is for you to understand that you are not them. You were not born like this. This did not come with you. It's not part of your personality. It's not part of who you are. Hence, you can break free from it. And that's what I'm saying. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. What really helps is trying to understand that it's an idea. It's an idea. So if it's an idea, it can be changed. It can be manipulated. It can be transformed. It can be resinificated. This resinification takes time, maybe years, but it's worth it. It's you constantly reminding yourself, love comes naturally. Love does not require making effort to achieve it. You are either loved or unloved, period. There's nothing in between. There's nothing you can do to be loved by someone or to get this love. You want to know if someone loves you, just ask them, why do you love me? And if their first reaction, if the first response is, well, I don't know, I just love you. Or if they take time to think and to process, they love you. Because we don't need to explain love. We don't need to rationalize about it. We just have to feel it. We just look at someone and you're like, yeah, I love this person. I love them. They're like this, they're like that, they have this, they have that, but yeah, we just love each other. And start having that for ourselves is harder than getting this love from another person, or from other people. Because it means that we need to change the way we think about ourselves, and we need to change the way we talk to ourselves, and we need to change the way that we perceive ourselves, and that takes a lot of time. Because once we believe that we were not worthy of love, we were not worthy of being loved for who we are. So changing that, transforming this paradigm takes time and it takes effort. So my question is, rather than asking who can you rely on, maybe we could ask, can you rely on yourself? Do you trust yourself fully? Are you 100% sure that even if the world falls apart, even if God turns his back at you, will you be there for yourself? Or would you leave yourself helpless?